Alice had always loved the quiet of the small village where she grew up. Lost among the dense forests, the village seemed the perfect place to forget the hustle and bustle of the city. But in recent weeks, the peace had disappeared. First, a young girl returning home late at night disappeared. Then a hunter who went into the woods and never returned. People whispered about wolves, but there was uncertainty mixed with real fear in those conversations. Alice didn't believe the rumors. She worked at the local library and always found an explanation for any mysteries. But one night she noticed something strange. Her window overlooked the hill where the old church stood. In the light of the full moon, she saw a figure standing at the entrance to the church. The figure didn't move, but its gaze seemed to be directed directly at Alice's house. The next morning, Alice went to the church. It hadn't been used in a long time. The doors were boarded up and the windows were covered in dust. But as she got closer, she noticed that one of the boards was broken, and footprints on the ground led inside. It was dark and cold inside. A faint ray of light shone through the broken window, illuminating the old altar. Alice smelled a strange odor, a mixture of iron and something sweetish. She stepped closer and froze. A dead bird lay on the altar, its wings spread and blood oozing from its chest. Someone had drawn symbols on the wall behind the altar. They were written in something red and looked like ancient runes. Alice couldn't look away until she heard a faint rustle behind her. She turned around, but there was no one in the church. When Alice left the church, the sun was already setting. Returning home, she met a stranger, a tall man in a long black coat, with a pale face and deep dark eyes, stood by the roadside. "You must be Alice," he said, smiling slightly. "Do we know each other?" she asked, feeling her heart clench. "Not yet," he answered, "but we will meet again soon. Don't go to that church again. It's no place for you." Alice wanted to ask who he was, but the man had already disappeared, as if he had vanished into the fading dust. Back home, Alice decided to find out what the symbols she had seen in the church meant. She flipped through old books in the library and found mention of an ancient cult associated with the worship of the blood moon. This cult believed that blood shed under the light of the moon could grant immortality. The more she read, the more she felt she was being watched. When Alice looked up, she saw a shadow in the window. For a moment she thought it was the same stranger. That night she could not sleep again. The moon, full and bright, shone directly into her room. Just then she heard a faint knocking at the window. She went over and saw a face, pale, with burning eyes. It was looking right at her. "You chose the wrong time to seek the truth," the voice whispered. And at that moment, the light of the moon grew brighter and the shadow disappeared. Alice knew that now she was part of something bigger than she had ever imagined. Alice awoke to a strange sensation as if someone was watching her. Her bedroom was plunged into semi-darkness.